Black Pines was the kind of place that disappeared from the map after sunset. Tucked in a shadowy valley between ancient pines, the town's houses sat hunched and quiet, their windows glowing like watchful eyes in the night. Generations had grown up in Black Pines and grown old there, and everyone had heard the old stories. Some said they were just tales to keep children from wandering into the woods at night. Others, like Mia Sanderson's grandmother, Evelyn, said they were warnings, and you'd be a fool not to listen. Mia loved the woods, and most evenings found her and her best friend, Jonah Carter, exploring deer trails and forgotten paths until their parents' porch lights blinked on like stars. The forest had always felt like home, safe, familiar, and alive with secrets. But in October, something changed. The trees pressed closer. The fog rolled down the hills and pooled in the hollows, swallowing sound and scents. And the air carried whispers, stories of the night whistler. Everyone in Black Pines knew the legend, or thought they did. It was always the same, 3 notes, drifting through the dark. Never a song, never a melody, just a call. And if you heard it, you were never, ever to whistle back. Mia's grandmother, who raised her after her mother died, told the story every year as soon as the leaves began to fall. The whistler only comes when the veil is thin, Evelyn would say, knitting on the porch while dusk painted the sky bruise purple. Long ago, a child went missing, chasing the sound. Folks searched the forest for days, but all they ever found were little footprints in the frost and a locket caught on a bramble. The whistling never stopped after that. It's not a person, Mia. Some things just wear the shape of one. Mia had always rolled her eyes. She was 18 now, practical and sharp, with one foot out the door and a scholarship to the city. She didn't believe in ghosts. But this year, maybe because it was her last autumn in Black Pines, or maybe because Jonah was leaving too, she felt the pull of the story like never before. Jonah had always been braver than he let on. He hid his fear behind bad jokes and a cocky grin, but Mia saw how he glanced over his shoulder after dark. That October, the whistler became all they could talk about. They sat one Friday night in the old cemetery at the edge of town, their breath curling in the air, passing a flashlight back and forth like a secret. Headstones leaned at odd angles, covered in moss and lichen, names half swallowed by time. "What if we actually heard it?" Jonah asked, trying to sound casual. "Would you answer?" Mia snorted. "There's no whistler, Joe. It's just coyotes or the wind." He shook his head. "No, my uncle swears he heard it once, out by the river bend, said it sounded almost human, like someone who forgot how to be one." Mia grinned. "Okay, if we hear it, I'll whistle back. Maybe it'll invite us for tea." Jonah punched her arm. "Don't joke. My cousin vanished in these woods years ago. Folks blamed a bear, but Grandma always said it was the whistler." The night pressed in, full of the forest's restless breathing. Owls called. Somewhere, far off, a branch cracked. Mia felt a chill settle between her ribs. But nothing happened, and soon they were laughing at their own nerves, picking their way home. But the next night, everything changed. Mia's grandmother was at a neighbor's house, leaving her home alone. The house creaked and groaned as the wind picked up, rattling the loose panes in the attic window. Mia sat on her bed scrolling her phone when she saw the message from Jonah. "Can't sleep. Want to sneak out? Meet at the log?" Mia slipped on a jacket and crept outside, careful not to wake the old dog on the porch. The moon hung low and yellow, lighting the path through the backyard and into the woods. The log was their spot, half rotten and carved with their initials. Jonah was already there, bouncing on his heels, flashlight in hand. "Ready to find your ghost?" He teased, but his eyes darted to the shadows. They wandered, talking softly, their voices muffled by fog. Mia dared him to whistle, just to prove it was all nonsense, but he refused. Half an hour passed. The woods seemed to hold its breath. Even the crickets were silent. Then, as they turned toward the old creek bed, it came. 3 notes, high and cold, drifting through the trees. Not a melody, not a song, just a call. They froze, breathless. The sound repeated, closer now, as if something was moving through the underbrush. Mia's mouth went dry. Jonah grabbed her sleeve. "That's not the wind," he whispered. Mia forced a laugh, but it died in her throat. She tried to tell herself it was a prank, a hunter maybe, or some kid from school. But the hair stood up on her arms. "Let's check it out," she said, more bravado than sense. They crept forward, every step echoing. The whistle came again, 3 notes, always the same, but now it seemed to twist, almost pleading. They reached an abandoned cabin Mia had only seen in daylight. The door hung open, blackness yawning inside. The whistle stopped. Jonah shined his flashlight into the cabin. The beam caught on a child's shoe in the dust, half buried and moldy. Mia's stomach turned. The footprints around it were small and barefoot. A voice, thin as spider silk, whispered from the darkness. "Are you lost?" Mia stepped back. "Jonah, let's go." But Jonah was staring at something inside. Someone, maybe. A pale face, just visible in the gloom, eyes black and bottomless. "Don't go," the voice said. "It's so lonely." The whistle rose again, impossibly loud, vibrating in their bones. Jonah bolted. Mia followed, heart pounding, lungs burning. Behind them, the whistling kept coming, echoing off the trees, chasing them all the way to her back porch. They slammed the door, locked every window, and sat in silence until dawn. Neither spoke of what they saw. Jonah left for the city 2 days later, never answering Mia's texts. She tried to tell herself it was just fear, nothing more. But she dreamed every night of the cabin, of the girl with the empty eyes, of the whistle that called and would not let her go. Weeks passed. Halloween came and went. Mia stayed in, ignoring the parties and the calls from friends. Her grandmother worried, made her soup, told her stories of other children lost to the woods. One night, the wind rose, rattling the house. Mia lay awake, the whistle ringing in her ears, even though the woods were silent. She finally got up, drawn by a force she couldn't name. She stood by her window, looking out at the black pines. Then, on the far edge of the yard, she saw a figure, a child, barefoot and pale, whistling the same 3 notes. Mia's heart pounded. She tried to look away, but the girl lifted a hand and beckoned. "Mia!" The voice was soft, hungry. Mia slammed the curtain shut, heart racing. She called her grandmother, who hurried to her side. Evelyn listened to the story, her eyes sad. "You didn't answer, did you?" she asked. Mia shook her head. "That's good," Evelyn said. "That's the only way. If you answer, it'll know your name. It'll come for you." Mia spent that winter dreaming of the woods, the whistle, the lonely girl calling for someone to walk with her in the dark. When she left for college in the spring, she never looked back. But every autumn, as the air grew cold and the pines whispered in the wind, she remembered. And somewhere, deep in the woods of black pines, the whistler still called, waiting for the next voice to answer. If you ever find yourself walking alone beneath the trees at night, and you hear 3 notes drifting through the darkness, don't answer. No matter how lonely you feel, because in black pines, some stories are hungry, and some ghosts don't want to be alone.